Why did the Titanic, which took 1,200 days to build, sink in just 2 hours? April 10, 1912, was the day when the world's largest and most luxurious ocean liner, the Titanic, was all set for its maiden voyage. The Atlantic Ocean was incredibly calm that day, and there was no chance of a storm. 1,500 passengers had already boarded the ship, and millions of people were gathered at the dock to witness the Titanic's first voyage. Neither the passengers, nor the millions of people bidding farewell, nor the Titanic's crew knew that the ship, which was about to embark on its journey, had fatal flaws that would lead to a catastrophic disaster. Welcome back to Xfinity Evolution. In this video, we will delve into the critical mistakes made during the construction of the Titanic, which if avoided, might have made it famous for its success rather than for its tragic sinking. What were these mistakes that even Captain Edward Smith, with 40 years of experience, failed to notice? Not just Captain Smith, but even the Titanic's operator, the White Star Line, with experience managing 107 ships, didn't catch them. Even Harland and Wolff, the company that built the Titanic and had already manufactured over 500 ships, didn't detect these errors. The Titanic's construction began in 1909 and, after 3 years of effort by 2,000 workers, the ship was finally completed. However, it had yet to undergo testing. Confidence in the ship grew when the Titanic passed its first test run successfully. Once the test was passed, it was marketed worldwide under the headline, "The Unsinkable Titanic." The Titanic was scheduled to depart from Southampton, England, on April 10, 1912, with New York as its destination. Tickets for a luxurious portion of the voyage cost $30, equivalent to about $340,000 today. Due to this marketing, all tickets were quickly booked, and finally, the day arrived when the Titanic was ready for its first voyage. At exactly 12 p.m., the Titanic set off on its first journey. But the mistakes started surfacing right from the beginning. Captain Smith had received strict orders from the ship's owners that, under no circumstances, should the ship arrive in New York later than April 17th. Because of this, the captain kept the ship at a very high speed from the start, and this was the Titanic's first mistake. Even though every vehicle or machine has specific operating procedures, including speed limits, this rule was violated right at the beginning of the Titanic's journey. The Titanic had been sailing non-stop toward New York for 3 days. By the evening of April 14, 1912, the ocean was calm but foggy, reducing visibility. That night, another ship, a few hours ahead of the Titanic, sent warnings about icebergs floating in the ocean. Experts say that at least 6 warnings were sent, but due to negligence, these important warnings were missed. Because the Titanic was the first luxury ship of its kind, much of the crew was busy attending to the first-class passengers, and the warnings were not taken seriously. If these warnings had been taken seriously and the ship's speed reduced, the disaster might have been averted. The ship was moving fast, and a critical warning had already been missed. The Titanic was now quickly and fearlessly approaching the iceberg's range. Still, the ship could have been saved because the lookouts were alert. However, they didn't have binoculars to spot the iceberg from afar. This was the Titanic's third mistake. The lookouts noticed the iceberg too late, and when they informed Captain Smith, the iceberg was already too close. Had the binoculars been available, the lookouts might have spotted the iceberg earlier, potentially preventing or minimizing the collision and changing the course of history. In the Atlantic Ocean, ships frequently encounter icebergs, and large vessels can usually handle them. Perhaps Captain Smith thought the same. Upon hearing about the iceberg, he ordered the engines to stop and tried to turn the Titanic away. However, the iceberg was too close, and despite the captain's efforts, the ship struck the iceberg. There was still hope that the iceberg might not cause significant damage to the ship's body, but the fourth mistake came into play. Experts believe that the rivets used in the Titanic's body were made of cast iron, not steel. Cast iron is softer than steel, and due to the impact, the rivets popped off, causing the hull to open up. Water began to flood the lower parts of the ship. This alerted the crew and passengers, including Titanic's owner, Joseph Bruce Ismay. The Titanic was designed to stay afloat even if 3 of its compartments were flooded. Unfortunately, the water reached the 4th compartment, and now the situation was beyond control. The ship began sinking gradually, and the crew started moving passengers to lifeboats. At this moment, the 5th mistake came into play. The ship had space for 32 lifeboats, but due to oversight, only 20 were installed. With 1,500 passengers and only 20 lifeboats, disaster was inevitable. Panic spread everywhere as passengers scrambled to get into the limited lifeboats. At 12:45 a.m., the first lifeboat was lowered into the sea, but it wasn't filled to capacity due to the chaos. First-class passengers were given priority, and if more people had been placed in the lifeboats, more lives could have been saved. The failure to utilize the lifeboats effectively remains one of the most criticized aspects of the Titanic tragedy. At 2:18 a.m., due to a short circuit, all the lights on the Titanic went out. Moments later, the ship broke into 2 pieces. It took the Titanic 2 hours and 40 minutes to fully sink into the Atlantic Ocean, taking the lives of 1,516 people with it. The Titanic sinking was a disaster caused by a combination of human errors and overlooked details. From excessive speed to missing crucial warnings, using inferior materials, and failing to provide enough lifeboats, each mistake played a critical role in the tragedy. The ship, once hailed as unsinkable, became a symbol of overconfidence and poor decision-making. If these mistakes had been avoided, the Titanic might have completed its journey successfully and become a lasting icon of luxury and innovation, rather than a cautionary tale of one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more fascinating stories. See you next time with another video.